I am a presidential candidate. Andrew Yang. Ask me anything.
Before we start, be sure to like and subscribe to be the first to know about new videos. Comment your answer below.
Will the freedom dividend be tied to inflation, or would it be left up to Congress to increase it? Tied to CPI annually. For those who don't know, I had to look it up. CPI is Consumer Price Index, which is a metric that combines the cost of several things, eggs, bread, etc., into one number. Importantly, it is the current standard by which inflation is judged. How are real estate sales affected by your proposed VAT? Traditionally, residential real estate is exempted from it. Commercial real estate is also exempt if long-term. I like to follow what other countries have done successfully when appropriate. No need to reinvent that wheel. Will you please do your own preview of a PowerPoint State of the Nation presentation at some point in the Democratic primary? My vision for the American scorecard is a top-line measurement that then includes 8 to 12 submeasures that include GDP, health and life expectancy, mental health, substance abuse and deaths of despair, childhood success rates, average income and affordability, environmental quality, retirement savings, labor force participation and engagement, infrastructure, homelessness. It would take some getting used to for Americans, but a lot of it is establishing baselines and then directionality and improvement. Most Americans don't realize that our GDP is up to $20 trillion plus, they just have a sense of whether it's getting better or worse. The same would be true of the scorecard. A lot of it is channeling energy toward moving us in the right directions. The American scorecard is one of my favorite proposals of yours. To me, it seems absolutely necessary to change what our nation values to get a better overall look at how we, as humans, are doing. GDP, headline unemployment, and stock market prices are increasingly terrible and counterproductive measurements. The sooner we move on from them, the better. This isn't really a question, but you will likely be asked about the US meddling in other elections again, so in addition to the hemisphere line, it would be awesome to pivot completely and talk about how the US meddles in elections in our own country by gerrymandering and purging people from voter rolls. Then you can go anywhere you want depending on the flow of the interview. You can talk about democracy, dollars, or foreign influence of money like with the NRA/Big Pharma or voter disenfranchisement. Shout out to you/Herno328 for this awesome response. I just wanted to put it out to the campaign so you see it. I completely agree, this is definitely the way to handle this question. Good idea posting it here for visibility. Hey Andrew. What is your favorite national park? What is your plan for public land and the National Parks Services? Visited Yosemite and was blown away. Need to protect and preserve national parks and public lands. It's one of the only things that we can promise our young people we've handed to them in the right way. I would expand the U.S. Forest Service because we need to do a much better job tending our forests in the era of climate change so they don't become tinder boxes. Not quite your question but related. As a Forest Service employee, I wish you would say this publicly at some point. We know what we need to do, but we are annually being asked to do more with less. Defunding has turned us into a reactive organization when we need to be a proactive one. What group of outdoor enthusiasts would you say is the worst? Instagram influencers and Instagram photographers. Literally encourage their followers to break park/forest/agency policy and create social trails which destroy habitat and ecosystems just so they can get a fucking picture for Instagram. In places like the Painted Hills in Oregon, which are hills and mountains of brightly colored layers of dirt, it can take 10 years for human tracks in the hills to become erased. Idiots from Portland are ruining it because it has gorgeous views, so they trample off path and then provide exact directions on getting to that viewpoint. Can you talk a little bit about what your campaign is planning on investing in prior to Iowa to reach the older generation, and your untapped demographics, black voters, religious Bible Belt people, etc.? I know you guys are running a super lean organization that's wildly successful for the money spent, and you have cash on hand. What are the investments you will be making to answer why I should continue sending you donations? By the way, you single-handedly inspired myself and many others to actually care about politics again. Thank you so much for running. I'm sure it's not easy. The traditional playbook in Iowa involves TV ads. It's a very efficient TV market, i.e. you target Des Moines and Iowa City and you can cover the state very cost efficiently without a lot of excess. A lot of older voters watch TV. We are not above doing the traditional things that have been proven to be effective in addition to some of the less traditional things. Part of it is timing. Would you throw TV ads up 3 to 4 months prior to voting? Or would you wait until voters are closer to an action point? We will do some Yangian things in Iowa and some traditional things. I listen to the data and so does my team. Please trust that we will put the resources to work where we think we will get the most bang for our buck, and that the goal is to win. Shifting to healthier food culture/economy? Make Americans truly healthy. Any plans on improving American preventable chronic diseases, to lessen cost of them for all, such as obesity/diabetes, heart diseases through education/diet? Any concern about American sugar/cola/fast food industry doing harm to American life expectancy? For example, could we shift/educate peoples to food cultures like healthy whole fast food/7-Eleven in Japan? Or shift our food economy towards that? Maybe incentives big supermarket Walmart, 7-Eleven, Costco to adjust like their Japanese counterparts to make Americans truly healthy, yes, math pun intended. I feel like so much of this is tied to the freedom dividend. If you are trying to feed your kids by any means necessary, then hitting the fast food restaurant will become a routine, particularly because the kid likes it. If you put real resources and choices into our hands, then people will become more discerning and choosy, and businesses will follow suit. The grocer will open in the urban neighborhood, the supply chain will shift, etc. There is a lot more to be done here. But a lot of it is giving people real agency and freedom to choose healthier food. It really is. As a father of 3, barely making ends meet, feeding my kids a $5 pizza from Little Caesars is only appealing because it's cheap. I'd love to feed my family more healthy options, but it's simply not as cost effective. Most choices in our life boil down to not having enough money. I sympathize with you. When I was making $1,000 a month, I would routinely visit fast food restaurants and buy off the value menu and sustain myself that way, because taking the hit on $100 for groceries was too tough and caused cash flow issues. In the short term it was cheaper, but overall ended up being much more expensive. Especially if you factor in the health impacts. I'm making over 4x that now, and it's so freeing to be able to buy that grass-fed, grass-finished beef or free-range eggs, rather than factory farm food. For one, I feel much better eating healthier and feel better mentally knowing I'm supporting quality agriculture. Money really opens up so many more options, and in a way I'm voting for those farms versus the cheap meat. One of the most common criticisms of a VAT, especially from the progressive wing of the party, is that it's regressive. Why wouldn't this negatively affect lower-income Americans, and why you do believe it's the best way to pay for OB? P.S. Thank you for existing, and thank you Evelyn for allowing this campaign to happen. A VAT is a very efficient tax that is used by just about every developed country in the world right now, including Denmark, Sweden, France and other countries that are regarded as super progressive. It can be tailored to exempt, say, consumer staples and fall more heavily on luxury goods. The key is to give ourselves a way to benefit from the super efficiencies of the 21st century economy, because our corporate tax system will not do it. Super progressive countries use a VAT and then do all sorts of great things with it. We should do the same, including putting buying power directly into our hands. Thank you, and I think Evelyn every day I can. Yang proposes a 10% VAT, which is half the rate of most European countries. A VAT is great because it's really hard for companies to game. If you're doing business in the US, you're paying the VAT. Can't find the study now, but in Europe about half of the VAT is passed on to consumers and half is absorbed by the businesses. Even if 100% of the 10% proposed VAT gets passed on to the American consumer, only the top 6% of Americans spend more than $120K on consumer goods each year. Meaning that only the top 6% will come out net negative, getting $12,000 a year, so it's an overall increase in buying power guaranteed for 94% of Americans. And will be more because companies do absorb some part of the VAT. Much more info in this analysis by OUB expert not affiliated. The campaign. Question: what do you say to people that agree with your policies and philosophy but think a vote for you would ultimately benefit the Republicans due to you not having enough support to take down Trump? It's the primary. Throwing energy behind me will only help. I'm one of only 2 candidates in the field that 10% or more of Trump voters say they would support in the general, which gives me a better chance to beat Trump in the general than just about any other candidate, and I'm beating him in head-to-head matchups by 8 points in swing states. If you're looking to ensure Trump's defeat, I'm the best bet or one of the best bets. Thanks for all you're doing, Andrew. My dad is an avid Trump supporter and lifelong Republican. But I had him watch your Joe Rogan interview and gave him my copy of War on Normal People, and he is now saying he will vote Yang over Trump if you manage to secure the primary. Please keep doing what you're doing. You are the best bet. I really do think so. His message is very unifying and will help the country heal as it moves forward into the future.
You have been visited by Sad Cat. Like this video and subscribe to the channel to make Sad Cat happy again.